Hey everyone, in this video I wanted to share with you 5 tips for not getting too attached when dating people. So let's jump right into it. The first tip is to put yourself first and to practice self-love. These are pretty much the most important tips, which is why I put them right at the beginning. Putting yourself first is incredibly important because so many people are willing to not even make themselves their number one priority in life, which doesn't make much sense because you're always going to be in your own company. You're basically living your life for yourself. So why the hell wouldn't you make yourself your own priority, your main priority in life? It only makes sense to do that because you're going to be living this life for you, so why not put yourself at the top of your list of priorities? And this doesn't mean becoming selfish or narcissistic or any of that. It literally just means you're going to take care of yourself, you're going to do the things that are right for you, you're going to pursue your goals, and you're not going to get distracted by other things or other people. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you can't care about other people or that you can't have a significant other in your life. It just means you're not going to place them before yourself because you shouldn't. That's unhealthy. That's not a smart thing to do anyway. Believe me, I used to do that all the time in my past. And it also is a relationship killer for men, when a man puts a woman before himself. Women do not like that. They actually don't like being put on a pedestal because when guys do that, it kind of makes the woman feel like she is now the source of her man's happiness, and she doesn't want that kind of pressure on her. And the same goes for men, to the ladies out there. Men don't want to be your source of happiness either. Nobody wants to have that kind of pressure on them. So nobody wants to be your main priority in life. Only people who are really needy and insecure like to be your main priority. But anyone who's actually healthy and is working towards making an awesome life for themselves, they don't want to be your number one priority. They really don't. They want you to put yourself first and to pursue your own goals and to make your own life awesome and to include them along the journey. That's the way healthy relationships work out. So never feel selfish for being willing to put yourself first. You want to kind of think about what your main priorities are, and you should be number one, but then number two could be your career maybe, or your family, and then number three could be your significant other. But I would never suggest placing them number one on your list. Even having them number two seems a little high for me because then you may be willing to sacrifice life goals for them, and I don't think that's ever worth it. If you have something that is truly a life goal for you, you should place it above your significant other, even if it feels weird at first, because that's something that if you don't pursue, it could really make you unhappy in life. And you don't want to put yourself through that, and you don't want to put your partner through that, especially because if you're willing to sacrifice a life goal for them and you end up being unhappy because of it, you may start resenting your partner because you sacrificed it for them. So I would just suggest, to avoid all that, make you your number one priority, and then your life goals number two, or your career, whatever you want to call it. And then number three should be the highest you would ever place your significant other. Anyway, I hope that makes sense to you. But the other part of this is practicing self-love. When you practice self-love, it makes your life so much better, especially when it comes to dating, because it's all about learning to love and accept yourself as you are, with all of your flaws, being as imperfect as you are and as everyone else is. When we can get to a place where we fully accept ourselves for who we are, it makes it so that we create healthier relationships, because then we're not going to be trying to seek our partner's validation and attention, and we won't be trying to make them accept us because we can't accept ourselves. So get to a place where you are completely comfortable in your own skin, and it'll make it so you can have incredibly healthy and amazing relationships, because you won't be trying to look to your partner to solve all your insecurities, because they're not going to be able to, nor do they want to sign up for that job, because yet again, it ties into them not wanting to be the source of your happiness either. They also don't want to have to fix you. So you need to fix yourself by practicing self-love, working on your insecurities, and getting to a place where you can genuinely provide for yourself for the most part, so that you don't look to a partner to heal some kind of void or gap within you. You won't have one because self-love will fill that void and make you feel a lot better on your own. And this pretty much ties into tip number 2, which is learn how to enjoy your own company and create your own happiness. This is very closely related to self-love because it's all about learning how to enjoy being alone. Because think about this. When you go through life, you're going to be in your own company for the vast majority of it, right? You're basically going to be in your own company your whole life. So it's in your best interest to learn how to enjoy yourself, how to like being alone, and not viewing it as something that you should dread or something that leads to loneliness, because loneliness is actually caused by you not enjoying the company of the person you're with or people. You can be lonely in a crowd of people if you feel like you don't connect with any of them. And if you feel lonely when you're on your own, it's because you don't like your own company. So when you get to a place where you actually enjoy your own company, you won't feel lonely anymore. That's where you can be alone and actually create a lot of fun and happiness for yourself. I go on solo hikes quite often. I do a lot of things on my own, and I enjoy it. It's almost needed for me, and I'm not even introverted. I don't need it to recharge. I just enjoy being on my own because I love the freedom that it gives me. You can do whatever you want whenever you want it. But it's important to learn to enjoy your own company so that you can create your own happiness, because a lot of relationship and dating problems stem from people trying to derive their happiness from their partner. And like I said before, that is really unhealthy. You do not want to do that. It's a really bad place to be. So when you practice this, it solves that problem completely, because you'll basically get to a place where you're able to create happiness on your own. And then once you're there, you won't look to your partner to provide that for you. You'll be looking to actually share your happiness with them instead of trying to gain happiness from them. Does that make sense? And also, you never want to outsource your happiness. That's just, why would you do that? You can't trust other people to have your best intentions in mind. So why would you ever trust them to provide happiness for you? Don't outsource something so important. Obtain it from within. Create it from within yourself. It's always the healthier way to go. So now on to tip number 3, which is don't make the person a high priority in your life, which I kind of already went over that in the first tip about putting yourself first. But yet again, just to reiterate, you do not want to make this person your main priority in life. That should be you. They need to be, like I said earlier, at least in my opinion, number 3 should be the highest they should be. And in my own case, the highest I'll ever be is number 4, because I actually go number 1, myself, number 2, my career and / life goals / purpose, number 3, my family, and they will be number 4 on that list. They're not going to be more important to me than my own family, so I'm sorry, ladies, but the highest you could ever be in my own life would be number 4. But that's not a bad place to be, because think about how many things we all have in our own lives, how many things we have going on. We have our relationships with a bunch of friends and family members. We have our work and whatnot. We have our cars, our material possessions, the home we live in or that we rent, that sort of thing. So if somebody's actually your number 4 priority in life, that's really high. That means they're coming before all those other things I just mentioned. So that's a good place to be. So never feel like it's a bad thing to place a significant other or somebody you're dating that low. Well, that's still high on your priority list. So I hope you can see what I mean here, that you just never want to place them as your number 1 priority, or even, I keep harping on this, but I really mean it. I don't think you should place anyone above number 3 in life. I really don't. But if you want to, I mean, you have to realize that that means you'd be okay sacrificing a lot of things for them. And if you are, cool. But I just feel like certain things shouldn't be sacrificed for someone, especially when you're just dating them. But anyway, on to tip number 4. This is a pretty important one. It is a bit harder to fulfill, but it helps immensely. And this one is date multiple people at once. And the reason you want to do this is because it helps you lose your neediness and your attachment to outcome. See, one of the problems that I used to have when I was younger was whenever I was dating, I was so inept at understanding women that I wouldn't be dating many women at once. So usually when I was seeing a girl, it would only be her. So I had all these expectations riding on her, and she was basically my only option. So if I lost her, I was going to be devastated because I had no backup. And that creates a lot of neediness and insecurity because you only have one option. So you're thinking if that option goes away, then you're left with nothing. And you don't want to be in that position. Now, all the earlier tips I mentioned will help you even deal with this place if you're in it, where you will actually be a bit more comfortable with losing that person, even if you only have them as your one option. But in general, dating multiple people at once will help with this overall. And it's kind of a shortcut to losing neediness and attachment to outcome, because otherwise you are going to have to put in a lot of work practicing that self-love, knowing your worth, putting yourself first for years. But you will get to a place where even when you're just seeing one person, you'll be okay losing them because you'll think, hey, I love being on my own anyway. I create my own happiness. I enjoy the freedom that comes with it. Who cares if they leave? I'll just continue because I enjoy my life anyway. Them not being a part of it doesn't matter. It's still going to go on. I'm still going to enjoy it. But when you date multiple people, it just makes it so you lose that neediness, because now if one person happens to drop off, maybe you have another left, or two or three, or however many. But I will throw in here, be careful if you're getting intimate with these multiple people. That's, we all know it's a tricky place to be. You don't want to get any STDs, so just be very careful in that situation. Always wear protection for the men, and for the ladies, always insist that the men wear protection, because they're going to try to convince you that they don't need to, but just be safe. That's the one caveat I'll throw in here, because dating multiple people will obviously increase the risk of, so just play it safe. But anyway, that is a bit of a kind of a fast tip for getting rid of neediness and attachment to outcome. Just having multiple people in your life so that if one of them drops out, you're not going to be devastated. But anyway, on to the fifth and final tip. And this one is, don't fantasize about a future with the person. This is really important. I can't tell you how important this is, because this one also used to trip me up when I was younger, because I used to be that kind of guy who was a hopeless romantic. So when I would have a woman in my life, I'd be visualizing this future with her, not to the point of having children with her. I wasn't going to that degree, but I understand some people do, and it's unfortunate. But I would be thinking about, like, further down the road, a couple of years down the road, maybe if I could marry her or not, and it was just not good. So as much as possible, you don't want to allow yourself to do this. I know it can be easy if you're in that place where you think a lot, and therefore your mind is always active and your imagination is always going at 1,000 thoughts a minute. But try to control it as much as you can. When you catch yourself like fantasizing about a future with this person, just redirect your thoughts, or just say, hey, I don't want to play this game. Please stop. And then just divert your thoughts elsewhere and distract yourself so that you don't do that, because that's going to make you fall for them really quickly and get super attached to them, and you just don't want to do it. Because the interesting thing about that is, if you allow yourself to play that game and then you end up falling for them really hard, you're not actually falling for the person, because you don't really know them all that well, right? So the whole idea of them that you have is something that your mind has fabricated from you fantasizing about them. So it's not even the real them. It's this mental image that you've created in your mind. So this is another important reason why you don't want to do this, because it'll make you fall in love with something that isn't even real. You don't know if this person is actually like that. You're projecting all these good, positive qualities onto them, but you don't know if they're actually that way. So just try not to play that game at all. It helps you judge them based on reality, which is what you always want to do. It'll just save you so much time in the long run, and it'll make it so you don't make a really bad decision, which is choosing to get into a relationship with someone who's actually bad for you because you ignored all the red flags, because you were focused on that mental fabrication that your mind created, and you just don't want to play that game. And one tip that kind of plays into this that I'll just throw in here as a bonus is, you don't want to even think of this person when you're playing or singing love songs either. That's something I also used to do. I happen to enjoy singing, and love songs are fun to sing. We all know it. And I used to have the problem where I would be singing in the car when driving to and from work, or just anywhere in general, and I would be thinking of the woman while I'd be singing a love song. And I can tell you that will also make you develop quicker feelings for her than you otherwise would. So if you're going to listen to love songs, try instead to think about the future person you want to marry, or something like that. Try to not visualize an actual face on them if you can. Try to view them as looking blurry, if you will. But you just don't want to actually put this person you're dating in that position, because then you're yet again going to be fantasizing a future with them while you're listening to love songs, and you just don't want to do that. Otherwise, I would say you maybe shouldn't even listen to love songs when you're dating, because you don't want to develop those feelings too prematurely. But I mean, they're fun to do. We all know that. So just try not to basically put those feelings on the person you're dating. Just visualize that ideal version of your future partner that you may end up marrying. That will help immensely. Anyway, that's basically all the tips I have for this video. So to quickly sum it up, they are: number 1, put yourself first and practice self-love. Number 2, learn how to enjoy your own company and create your happiness from within. Number 3, don't make the person a high priority in your life. Number 4, date multiple people at once to lose your neediness and your attachment to outcome. And number 5, don't fantasize about a future with this person or even think of them when playing or singing love songs. I truly hope these tips helped you. They've helped me a lot in my own life, and that's why I'm sharing them with you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci!